Okay, this is go over the exercises for section 2 for this course. Again, as with the previous section, I'm going to go over the ones that weren't given at the back of the book. And although this is an online class, I can't answer questions immediately. If there's questions that come up, you can email me, and I will email you any answers I hope will help clarify questions for you. Okay, so moving right along, we have for section 1.3, the first one we look at here is in section 1, number 14. So what we're supposed to do here is determine whether the following arguments are best interpreted as being inductive or deductive, and the type of argument it is, and that's the main thing that you're doing here. So number 14. If Alexander the Great died from typhoid fever, then he became infected in India. Alexander the Great did die from typhoid fever, therefore he became infected in India. That's a deductive argument, hypothetical syllogism type. Okay. Number 18 is an inductive generalization, or it's an inductive argument of the type of generalization. Right, so the point that contrary to the common notion that women tend to be chatty compared to men, little difference exists between the sexes in terms of talkativeness. Over a 5-year period, our researchers placed unobtrusive microphones on 396 college students in various fields at campuses in Mexico as well as in the United States. They found that both men and women spoke about 16,000 words a day. So it's generalizing from this study of college campuses in Mexico and the United States, generalizing from that to make a claim about men and women in general. So it's an inductive argument, but it doesn't give us absolute certainty. I mean, it is a sample that's being used, and perhaps it's a good sample, so it may be a strong inductive argument, but it is an inductive argument nonetheless. Number 24 is a deductive argument, and number 29 is an inductive argument by analogy. Right, we tell people not to speed, but equip cars with airbags in case they do. So what's wrong with telling kids not to have sex, but making Plan B available in case they do? It's argument by analogy. Again, it may not be a strong argument or a good argument, but it is an argument by analogy. And then section 3, we were supposed to answer true or false to the following statements. 1 is true, 2 is true, 3 is true, 4 is true, 5 is false, 6 is false, 7 true, 8 false, 9 false, and 10 is false. Oh, and 11 is true, 12 is false, 13 is true, 14 is false, and 15 is false. All right, now in section 1.4, this is where you are identifying whether arguments are strong, cogent, unsound, etc. So section 1.4, there's a couple that weren't at the back of the book. Number 8, Chicago is a city in Michigan, and Michigan is part of the United States. Therefore, Chicago is, oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the wrong section. It's section 2 is the one that I was doing here. Section 2. Okay. Number 8. Okay. Paleontologists have unearthed the fossilized bones of huge reptiles, which we have named dinosaurs. Tests indicate that these bones are more than 50 million years old. Therefore, probably dinosaurs really did roam the earth 50 million years ago. So the claim is probably dinosaurs really did roam the earth 50 million years ago. Is that claim likely true or not so likely true based upon the truth of the statements before? Well, it seems pretty likely that it's true. So it's a strong, cogent argument because it's true premises and a likely true conclusion. Number 14. Unlike monkeys, today's humans have feet that are not suited for grasping objects. Therefore, 1,000 years from now, probably humans will still have feet that are not suited for grasping objects. This follows again from our discussion in the last section, or in this section, about the uniformity of nature. that things tend to continue along the way that they have been going along. So it's very likely that 1,000 years from now, our feet won't be any better suited for climbing trees or grasping objects than they are now. So it's both a strong and cogent argument. Now, section 3 of 1.4, do number 14. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor happened in either 1941 or 1951. But it didn't happen in 1941, therefore it happened in 1951. Now, it is a deductive argument, right? It's a disjunctive syllogism. It was either 1941 or 1951. So if you rule out one, then you can conclude it's the other. And so what's ruled out is 1941. Well, that's false, right? Because we know it did happen in 1941. So even though it's a deductive argument, and it's a valid deductive argument, right? Because it follows the logical form in a valid way, it's still unsound because the premise it didn't happen in 1941 is false. Okay, so it's a deductive, valid argument, but unsound. Number 15. Harry will never be able to solve that difficult problem in advanced calculus in the limited time allowed. He has never studied anything beyond algebra, and in that he earned only a C-. So the thing to keep in mind here is that calculus is beyond algebra, right? He hasn't studied anything beyond algebra, and advanced calculus is something more advanced than and complicated and difficult than algebra. And so it's very likely that he will not be able to solve a difficult advanced calculus problem. So the conclusion seems to be very likely true. The premises are true, so it's an inductive and strong argument. The final section of the exercises was for 1.5, and these were counterexample, proving invalidity by counterexample. So I'll do number 12 and 15 from section 1 of 1.5. So number 12 says, no movie producers are uncompetitive business executives, and some Hollywood moguls are movie producers. It follows that no Hollywood moguls are uncompetitive business executives. So first you have to identify the conclusion, and the conclusion is it follows that no Hollywood moguls are uncompetitive business executives. So we have that conclusion indicator with it follows. And so we replace the terms by a letter, and it's usually easiest for our purposes to use the letters that fit with the word that we're replacing or getting rid of. So M for movie producers, and U for uncompetitive business executives. So that gives us no MRU as one of the premises. And some Hollywood moguls are movie producers. So we'll do some H for Hollywood moguls, or M, movie producers, right? And then the conclusion, and the double / separates the premises from the conclusion. No Hollywood moguls, no H, are uncompetitive business executives. So U. So we have now replaced the terms of that passage with letters, and now we substitute with the counterexample method other terms where we will end up with true premises and a false conclusion. And so what I've done here is that no fish are dogs. Some animals are fish, therefore no animals are dogs. Both our premises are true, but the conclusion is false. Number 15, some near-death experiences are supernatural phenomena. So I have some N for near-death experiences, RS, supernatural phenomena. And no near-death experiences are easily forgotten happenings. So no N near-death experiences are E for easily forgotten happenings. And consequently, or therefore, the conclusion, some easily forgotten happenings are not supernatural phenomena. And so we have translated that passage into symbolic form. And so now let's replace those with the counterexample method. We end up with some dogs are animals. No dogs are cats. Both of those are true. But the conclusion, some cats are not animals, is not true. So we can end up with a false conclusion from true premises, and so these arguments are invalid, which is precisely what the counterexample method sets out to do. Section 2 was doing more of the same. Number 6, some wrestlers are colorful hulks, since some wrestlers are colorful and some wrestlers are hulks. Okay, seems like a valid argument, but if you write some WRC, some wrestlers are colorful hulks, and some wrestlers are colorful and some wrestlers are hulks. Can we conclude that some wrestlers are colorful hulks? Well, let's replace them with this. Some fruits are purple, some fruits are lemons, therefore some fruits are purple lemons. That obviously doesn't follow, so it's not a valid form. The last one then is number 8. All merchandisers that are retailers are businesses that are inventory rotators. Therefore, all merchandisers are inventory rotators. So that's for number 8. We say all M that are R are B that are I. So all merchandisers that are retailers are businesses that are inventory rotators. Okay. Therefore, all M merchandisers are inventory rotators. So again, we replace it with animals, cats, and that type of thing. So all animals that are cats are felines that are mammals. Therefore, all animals are mammals, which is not true. So we end up with a false conclusion from true premises. So there's an example of using the counterexample method to prove invalidity. That's it for this section. We'll now move on to the third section.